Hello, darling. Welcome back. This is the one we've all been waiting for. This is the grand finale of my 1970s inspired, handmade by me, slow fashion vintage capsule wardrobe. That's its government name. I created a four-piece vintage wardrobe over a succession of weeks, and there's a video detailing each and every process, but today is the grand finale. I'm going to walk you through the jacket. Now, I waited to do the jacket as the last piece because I'm a new sewist. I literally just started and I was not confident that I could do it. I was actually a little scared, which is silly, but here we are. So I started with the skirt and then I moved on to the blouse and then I took a risk and I made the pants. I was scared of the pants. There's no reason to be scared of pants. It was so fun and I love them. And I saved the jacket for last. Now, there were some challenges. It is a wonderful piece that ties the whole capsule together, and I love it so much. But I did have to learn a bunch of new sewing techniques and how to grade the pattern up kind of more properly than I'd been doing. Making a jacket actually requires some tailoring skills, which is more involved, and they need to be crisper, and it's supposed to be that kind of crowning piece in the capsule wardrobe that does tie it together, makes it look crisp, makes it look well intended, and I had to figure out how to do that. So I'm definitely going to walk you through that. And then I thought we'd have a little fun with the official reveal. So stick around. For this project, I decided to go with the slash and spread method of grading, which means you take the measurements from the envelope, you take your actual measurements, and you work out the difference in inches between the two. And then you add that difference into the pattern and cut all the pieces out and spread apart, right? This is where the slash and spread comes in. It is considered a little bit easier, a little bit actually more accurate than doing a whole mathematical grading. So I decided to make sure I was doing it as carefully as possible. I ironed all of my pieces. I did all of my math. This is sort of the outline of what I was working with. Cut out my pieces, got my handy dandy tape, taped it all together, and then created the new pattern piece from that. So lots of paper, lots of tape, but I have to say, absolutely worth it. One place I sort of winged it was on the collar, and I wish I hadn't. More on that later. But from there, I traced everything onto what is called Swedish tracing paper, which is amazing. It's like a mix between fabric and paper. It really feels sort of like that really amazing Japanese paper where you can feel the fibers. Anyway, it is absolutely fantastic and allows you to make a mock-up that you can then use really as a pattern because it's not actually fabric. So here I am making sure to trace very carefully onto the Swedish tracing paper. Paper that again is very much like fabric, and I have to say I genuinely was shocked that it was working, that it was all fitting correctly the way it should. Again, these very easy Vogue patterns have the most minimal instructions. This is literally it for the entirety of the jacket, so I made sure to grab my favorite sewing resource book. So here I am transferring all my markings before I head over to the sewing machine. I really do love this fabric. Like I said, I got it off of eBay, I think under $20. The entirety of all of the fabric, all of the notions, patterns, everything for this four-piece capsule wardrobe project were all secondhand, all thrifted. I think the total came to like $40. And sustainability is really important to me when it comes to hobbies and things like this. I don't believe in buying stuff just to buy stuff. But then the question becomes, okay, but if we don't support these small, kind of hobby stores, we have those types of things in San Francisco. If we don't support them, which yes, you're buying new products, but you're supporting small businesses, is that also something you should be doing? It's just a question that keeps going round and round. And I do love thrifting my materials. It's just super fun for me, and I enjoy the process of it, and I enjoy the unique things that I find. But I do like going to my little local yarn store and my super fun discount fabric warehouse. And I will pick up things here and there, but as of yet, I really have not bought, a bolt of fabric to make anything from. I'm not saying I never will, but I do, before I do, want to have that, conversation with myself of, am I buying things just to buy them, or is there a different slash better way to do it? I don't know. I just think it's an interesting conversation that kind of goes around and around, but definitely needs to be had. And it's one of those things I think about while I am at the machine sewing everything. So here I am just really checking out those instructions and kind of thinking along the lines of, it can't be this easy. I was really thinking that making this blazer was going to be exceedingly difficult. I'm not to say there's not mess ups. You're going to see one coming up here soon, but it was way easier and more enjoyable than I expected. So this is me dealing with the interfacing and the facing, which is actually something I hadn't done for any of my projects before. And again, happily surprised that this thing is coming out and that it's fitting as it should, and that the modifications I made seem to be working out. After all that interfacing was in the collar and the front of the jacket lapels, it was time to hem the sleeve shut. And the entire time I'm doing this, I'm like, this seems a little difficult. There has to be an easier, better way to do this. There isn't really, but I did think I was going to mess up, and I did. I sewed the sleeve sort of shut in on it of itself, and I think I did this twice. So proud of me. But look. So here's sort of the first major disaster. Those of you that sew regularly can see what's happening, and I'm sure you're screaming on the inside. But this is me doing my very first ever sleeve. Now, since I graded everything, I am way more concerned that this thing's just not going to fit and it's not going to be sewn in properly than I am really thinking about the direction the fabric goes in. I sewed the sleeve on inside out. Look at that. And the kicker is it was sewn in perfectly, like genuinely perfectly. So I had to redo it, and I had to redo it twice because the bobbin broke in the middle of it. It was just such a thing, but here we go, finally done. And then it's just a matter of finishing all of these little hems and seams and pinking everything. Now for the moment we've all been waiting for, the full capsule reveal, styled exactly like the illustration on the Vogue 8806 pattern envelope. Before we get to that, thanks so much for following along. And if you loved the process and you want more creativity content, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more. Look at this. This is the skirt, the blouse, and the jacket together. It really does capture the essence of that 70s style. It is polished, it is tailored, it is completely intentional. The different textures of the blouse and the crispness of the skirt and the blazer really work together beautifully. And I love this silhouette. And this hat, of course, I happen to have basically the exact same hat and clutch and necklace as the illustration. I really do love the 70s. And here it is, styled with just the blouse. It is just a little bit more playful, but equally chic, and I absolutely love this. These 4 pieces yielding distinct head-to-toe vintage outfits. I'm here for it. Our next charming look is the pants with the blouse and the jacket thrown over the shoulders. So jaunty. I don't think I'd ever wear it in this combo, but I love that it exists and I can if I want to. This was just so fun and I am loving every minute of it. The final look is another take on the skirt and the jacket with the blouse, and she does have it kind of thrown over her shoulder. She's carrying it. It's just so cute. It is so casual, but absolutely I could throw this on and go to a meeting. No problem. I am, again, just loving it. I found these shoes, which very much look just like the ones in the illustration. We've got our belt that I've been styling with this all along, and I am just loving this. It came out so good. All 4 pieces absolutely did. Dog approved. And like I said, I left those extended lapels so I can use them to feature my brooch collection. Until I see you next time, stay creating, stay groovy, stay crafty. I'll see you soon.